Everybody, welcome back to the Academy Street podcast. I'm your Laulu with Nicholas, and today we're going to be joined by a very special guest, Michael Mullins. How are you doing, sir?
Fine, thanks. How are you?
That was very subdued.
Less than a government name, please.
Boy, you sound very miserable. What's going on?
I'm just following in your footsteps, sir.
Wow. Say no more. Say no more. How you doing?
Well, as well as can be in these unprecedented times.
Right, indeed. But yeah, thanks for coming on. We really just wanted to catch up with you, and we know that you're a man of many hats, and you do various things. And this whole show is about exploring how finance plays a part in everything that we do, and especially in this period of the pandemic where things have become so uncertain. It's become even more imperative that people kind of keep a lid on things, like in terms of financially, and basically navigate this current time that we're in. So yeah, before we jump into it, we just wanted to ask you to introduce yourself, let everybody know who you are and what you do, or the things that you do.
Right, so you said my full government name already. So I am Michael. I am the director of Archangelcreative. I used to be the director of Mullins Management, but now what I used to do with Mullins Management, I've now just rolled into one with Archangelcreative. And so that's kind of where I am in terms of my career, or I wouldn't even call it career now. It's just what I do. So that's it really.
And what does that entail?
So Archangelcreative was started when I was a digital project manager and consultant. And so I realized that because I had a lot of experience on the management side of things, and I had a friend who worked in marketing, I thought, okay, let's start our own little, and I didn't want to call it an agency because digital agencies are much maligned. So it was more just a creative company to just to help small businesses have a kind of a global thinking in terms of marketing, or have some global experience in terms of, or big business experience, I should say, and bring that kind of attitude to local businesses, to just clean up all of that lower end of money that the big agencies don't care about. And so I thought, okay, I've got a regular job, so to speak, as a digital project manager or consultant. So let's try and get an extra, piece of income from this small business by winning business and then selling it on to other people. That was the idea. But my co-founder decided that she wanted to do an MBA. So she moved to the USA and is killing it over there. And in the meantime, the regular work that I was doing as a project management consultant, that kind of died down due to various things. And so now that creative company has kind of become a part of what I do as well. If I can get, project management work, I take that as well, but I take that under the banner of this new company. So our whole ethos is to bring creativity to, like I said, small businesses. That's our main aim. And to help them with marketing, to tell their story. Our main thing is telling their story. Anybody can create anybody can do like a little ad, or anybody can put out a flyer. But what we really want to do is to tell people's individual story, because we believe that's how businesses distinguish themselves. You kind of saw that with kind of Apple and Steve Jobs. And you kind of see that with other companies that distinguish themselves. They tell a story. And sometimes, or mainly, that story has got to do with the founder or the person behind the business. And that's what we really want to do. That's what we're trying to do. Obviously, COVID has kind of hampered that, but we still try to do bits here and there where we can.
That's that's quite insightful. So in terms of, with all of that, saying you kind of gone it alone, and kind of saying set up your own companies to be self-sufficient and fund yourself. So what role has finance played with being independent and going it alone? Because it's quite a tough thing to decide to essentially go it alone, and rather than go the full-time work route, set up your own companies.
It's quite a complicated story, so I'll try and shorten it. So obviously we went to the same uni, and by the second year, which was your second year, my third year, I decided that this politics degree was worthless. And it wasn't going to do anything for me because it wasn't going to lead me into anything specifically. So I decided I wanted to be a project manager. I didn't know in what area. Fast forward a few years, I'm back in the NHS where I had worked intermittently from when I left school, and I was doing project management type work. I decided that I wanted to do a course called Prince 2. I saved up the money, paid for that, left the NHS, couldn't get a job in London. So I moved to Milton Keynes. Within 2 weeks, I had a project management role, which kind of gave me my introduction to the digital industry. I got bored of being in Milton Keynes. I came back to London, and I was blessed to just get a role within a couple of weeks in a massive company called Razorfish, which I think is now called Publicant Sapient. And that I spent about 8 months there learning the game. And from then, everything just blew up. From then, I started to freelance, because that was my first freelance role. And from then, I realized, hold on a minute, this freelance thing is working for me, because if I just stay in this company, before I just go to companies and do a permanent role, I'll never actually climb up the tree. They will just want to keep me in that position. But I knew my ability was more. So I realized if I kept contracting, I could get bigger and bigger roles and build my profile. And I did that successfully for about 4 or 5 years. And so in bringing about Archangelcreative, like I said, that was kind of for an extra income. And so you guys came to the kickoff to that. I did an exhibition of photography that I had taken on my travels. And I think I spent about 3 or 4 grand. I don't think I told you how much I spent on that. I spent about 3 or 4 grand on that exhibition, because obviously I had to rent the space. I had to get the food. I had to buy all of the actual photos and turn them into I think, I can't remember what the name was, specific name, but obviously I had, what's the word? I had photos, and I had, what do they call them again? That you put on wood. Canvases, yes, canvases. And I had photos, but blown up on a specific, can't remember what the board is called, but yeah, that all cost me about 3.5, 4 grand to do that. And so obviously that was a big outlay, but I was earning a lot of money at the time. So I budgeted that would make sense for me to do at that time to try and launch the business. So I put that money out there as like, okay, you have to spend money to make money, right? So I did that exhibition, and funnily enough, someone who I previously worked with came to that exhibition, and she was now working at another company, and they needed a photographer and a videographer. And because of what she saw there, she campaigned for me to get a spot to do some videography and photography for the company that she was working for at the time. And literally, so within, I think I launched that in July 2015. By October, I had a contract already. So we saw a bit of return, obviously, from the initial outlay. And then the project management stuff took over. So that went on the back burner. But then like a year or 2 later, when the project management stuff was down, I started to get more business, because obviously people saw we could do some creative stuff. So in terms of finances, there was an initial outlay of about 4 or 5 grand, and it probably took about 2 years to pay that money back, or to get that money back. But it didn't matter, because like I said, I was doing other work that was paying. So that company was just kind of there on the back burner for me. And actually now that company has been what has kept me kind of, I would say, semi afloat during these times.
No, so you touched on a point. I was just about to say, you kind of touched it in your answer, because in the sense of finance. So in terms of the one company, you had to get those revenues back. But in terms of your overall self picture, you had money coming in from other various works that you were doing. So you wasn't just relying. But by having multiple hats per se, that allowed you to manage your funds between one company and another, and to keep yourself afloat. Yeah,
and that 2015 year was like amazing, because like I said, I started that company in July, and with my regular freelance work, I got 2 roles. So after July, I was working at a place called Havas, and I was working at a place called Creative United, and then I got that other contract with Archangelcreative, doing the photography and videography. So there was like one period of time where about 2 or 3 months where I had 3 roles. So I remember one day I literally worked 3 contracts in one day. So I went into one job in the morning, I went into the other job in the evening, and then on the break time, I went to film like some stuff for Archangel Creative. It was mad because it's like I got money coming in from 3 different directions, and it was all great. So yeah, I thought this is a perfect time for me because I was in the project management world. I kept going higher and higher and higher. I'm like, this is the best time to start a business because I've got all this cash that's just coming in. So let me start something else. And so that could potentially keep bringing money in.
On that question of cash, then, could you have managed that better? What would you say of your viewpoint at that time with money? Did you think, okay, everything was booming, so you didn't worry, or how when you look back, how can you reflect on your money management with that inflow of cash?
So going from before I started that business, my mindset was I never wanted to actually be a freelancer for that long. I just wanted to get enough. I wanted to get to a point of seniority where I could get a decent enough permanent wage. But because I saw I could keep going up, that went out my mind. What I used to do, as you know, is take a lot of holidays. Now, I don't regret all the experiences I had, but I would have taken half the amount of holidays and saved that money and invested in some property. So in hindsight, I still would have started that business, but the previous years before where I was making so much, I never expected to make so much money so quickly. So I started making a lot of money from 2012, which I didn't expect. And so because I started making a lot of money, I kept on delaying the investment in property. And I would have
you thought that money was certain.
It's always going to come in it. It's not going to stop.
Yeah, no.
I tripled my day rate within the first like 2 years of me getting into what I got into. So, you know, you're young, you don't think it's ever going to dry up, right? So in hindsight, I would have definitely invested in property or something that would have at least held the money that I put it in. Not a savings account, because I want my money to grow, but I would have definitely invested in something, probably property, a lot earlier, took less holidays, and I still think I would have done this business because as it's turned out, as you said, now I've got a few more hats. I've had to be innovative and learn a few more skills that I never thought I'd have to learn, because I thought I could just be a project management consultant forever and just the cash should roll in all the time. And that's not been the case.
I mean, so what I'm hearing so far is that there's actually quite a lot of intangibles. It's not just the tangibles that you take away from sort of expanding your repertoire and branching out into different fields and avenues, which is great to hear because, you know, one thing about if you want to keep moving forward, you have to learn, you have to be able to iterate and work on yourself as an individual. So that's been good to kind of hear you reflect on that and be one of the things that you can draw out. Bringing the conversation back to the financial aspects, what do you then think are some of the challenges from running a business within, I know you don't quite call it an agency, but, you know, within the creative space?
Yeah.
What do I say?
Getting work. It's a one-man show right now. And so the only work comes in through what I do, through who I speak to, who I network with, who I pitch to. So like another role I got, and I've been forced to innovate, because had the money been coming in from the project management stuff, I wouldn't have been as innovative. So for example, one time when nothing was just coming in and I was just going to the gym every day to fill the time. After a while, I started talking to the personal trainers at the gym and got to know the management. And I asked them, so how do you like market? And all they ever did was go outside and hand out leaflets. This is the gym group in Wembley. And so I said to them, okay, I got my little phone and I did a little video and just like messing around. And I just cut it up. I don't even think I was using Final Cut then. I was using iMovie. I just put it together and I made them a little proposal. I said, you see what I've done here? Like, I could do this for you guys. Like, if I put a proposal together, will you, look at it? I put a proposal together and I said, basically, give me your month's budget for marketing. Let me create a whole campaign for you. And I called it We Are the Gym Wembley. And it was about basically making that specific gym. It was just about enhancing its story. It's a very kind of like a community type gym atmosphere. And it was just basically getting everybody in the gym to take ownership of We Are the Gym. Like, this is what we do, all that kind of stuff. We built the campaign around that. And so they accepted it. They were like, great, we'll give you a month's budget. I got their budget. I created the campaign, created the hashtag, and after like a month or 2 months of them, like, you know, running that campaign, their signups went up by like, I don't know if it's like 25% or something like that. I can't remember. And so that forced, being in that in situation of just having no income, forced me to innovate and forced me to pitch. I was only able to do that because I had been on the project management side previously, watching people create pictures. And now I had to innovate and think, okay, let me try that for myself, because there's no finances coming in. And so that's when I realized, okay, this company is not going to run itself. Like, my partner's gone. I'm going to have to do something now. I'm not a photographer. I'm not really a videographer. I've got a bit of photography experience, but the videography thing was new to me. But I was like, okay, I've got to push this. I've just got to take chances. And so it was really because of a need that I just had to innovate and start to push. So the hardest thing is to just get business, because if I'm not actively getting business, there's no money coming in. Like, money's not, people are not calling me. I have to call them. I've got to a stage now where I've worked with a few clients who will come back to me now and again, but that's not enough to pay bills.
No, that's real. You've mentioned in that you've had a partner that's no longer there, so you're essentially on your own, and you are a man with many hats. How do you prioritize running these businesses, or is it the fact, is that one of the reasons why, as you mentioned at the start, you've merged Mullins Management with Archangel Creative?
Yeah, and that's a finance reason, because I was paying my accountant to run 2 accounts. That doesn't make sense, because Mullins Management ain't getting no work. Archangel's getting a little work. So I was like, actually, I can put them all under one umbrella. So it made sense to do that, and that's what I did. But now within Archangel Creative, before I didn't mention, I said we try to tell people stories, but obviously there is the digital project management and consultancy arm, and actually there's an educational arm now and a philanthropic arm. So there's a lot we do within the education sector. As you guys have been a part of the life skills workshop that we're trying to get into schools, we've now got something called the One Race project, where we're trying to get into schools again. Rather than Black History Month, let's talk about actually how we're one race, and let's start talking about true history. And we take African history from the context not of slavery and struggle, but from just telling the truth. Because if scientists have actually told us we're all from Africa, let's deal with the history of Africa that's been hidden. So that's what we're doing on that arm. And then, like I said, the project management arm, last year I did a small contract as a innovation lead at a SEO company. So now I'm just trying to get it where I can get it. So education, I'm your man. Like Black history, I'm your man. Life skills for teenagers, I'm your man. Digital project management or general project management, I'm your man. Marketing in terms of like videography and photography and production, whether it be ideas or actual execution, I'm your guy. So I'm just trying to get it wherever I can get it now.
I hear that.
No, and that's brilliant. And no, I love that. And I think what I want to stress out, especially to our audience, is what you've done there. You said something quite key, that you brought both sort of elements under the same umbrella. You merged the 2 companies to make it one. And that's actually something that our viewers can take away, because if it's quite smart. What you can do is basically run different business segments within the same entity. And that's what Michael is doing. And actually it can save you a ton of money, whilst you still almost recognize each arm as a separate business, except that it's just within the same umbrella. And it just makes it easier financially from an accountant's point to just keep your costs down. So it's smart and it's brilliant. And I think, I mean, where I wanted to now segue to is the fact that you've almost said like necessity breeds growth. So because you've been on this journey and there's been hiccups and challenges along the way, that's forced you to innovate. And I know, speaking of camera, that your work in terms of videography and photography actually led to some international work, like going to Ghana and shooting a documentary. So can you just explain to us sort of that process, how that came about, and even some of the budgeting aspects, the financial aspects of managing an international project like that?
So we'll leave the budgeting to last. That's quite interesting. So a young lady from my church worked with the woman who actually runs this charity called Creating New Beginnings. And she wanted someone to create a short promo for a charity gala they was having. Oh, so my friend said, oh, I've got a friend who, you know, who does that kind of stuff. Why don't you speak to him? So initially I just said to my friend, get a brief and send it to me, because what happens is with a lot with creative stuff like this is that people see what you can do, and then when they find out the price, you know, they want a Rolls Royce, but they want it for Ford Escort money, like, you know. So I was batting her away, like, get her to send me a brief, I'm not interested, like, do you know what I mean? So then she's like, no, she's, you know, she's an older lady, like, she's the kind of person who wants to talk on the phone or meet up. And I'm just like, I'm not interested. But I was like, okay. So she lived near me. So we went to our house and we had a conversation. We agreed a price for the little promo. And I just offhand said to her, when I found out about this school that she runs in Ghana for autistic children, I said, I like what you're doing. Like, that is interesting. And I've always wanted to go to Ghana. I said, if you pay all my expenses, I'll come shoot this documentary for free. Like, I'll create a whole documentary about what you've been doing and, you know, where you've started and what you've done and all that kind of stuff. And I just said it offhand. Long story short, within 3 weeks, I was in Ghana shooting the documentary. So this is one of the lessons I've always learned, and I learned it from when I did the exhibition. Is the more you put out there, is the more you'll get back, right? Because I did an exhibition for the company. I got a contract within 2 months. Who would have known that was possible?
Steve.
I had this business where I'm trying. I'm not trained in photography or videography, and 4 years later, I'm in Ghana shooting a documentary because someone spoke about me and I threw out an offhand comment. And so expenses wise, really, all I had to do was just bring my equipment because everything was paid for. I didn't spend a penny. So yeah, expenses were paid. So no need to budget. I got, and actually, British Airways paid for my ticket.
Wow.
Because they believed in the project. They heard about it, and there was links with the Creating New Beginnings had links with British Airways. And so they paid for my ticket. So shout out to British Airways.
Hey, if they can give me a ticket as well, you know, Nigeria is very expensive this time of year to fly. But
you're just going to stunt at Christmas. No, I don't think you're here to support your.
It's a good cause.
Your vices.
Laula Bakey Foundation. Don't worry. No, but that's amazing, and it's amazing. It's just incredible to see what sowing little seeds here and there can lead to, and the fruit that it can produce. So, I mean, it's testament to the work that you're doing. I mean, that kind of okay. Moving on from that, then, I know we've spoken a little bit about, you know, this very interesting period that we're all in.
Yeah.
That is 2020. So, how have you found running the agents, the company in this pandemic period?
So, like I said, I had a contract last year with this SEO company, and you know, they ran out of money, so the projects that I was working on couldn't be sustained. But you know, did my thing there, and so that ended in December, and COVID came around March. I had gone to India. I think I went to India in April. And then I came back and then COVID hit. So obviously I hadn't been working in between that time. COVID hit and I've gone on furlough. And that's been a godsend, to be fair. I've got the bounce back loan, but what I've used this time to do is to invest more time into the projects that I've been working on. So like the One Race project, the life skills. As you guys knew, we had just relaunched the life skills to try and get back into schools now, and COVID hit. So I've just spent that time I'm investing in me, really, getting better, more knowledgeable in certain areas, and basically preparing myself to pitch for more work, which I've been doing, and to be better at the things that I do. So this is what I've spent kind of this year doing, just being better and preparing for the opportunities, because opportunities are going to come again.
Definitely.
But who's going to take them? And I think there's a lot of money to be made in this post-COVID, or not even post-COVID world, but maybe post-lockdown world.
Even in this
And I just
COVID
think it's,
period, people have been.
yeah. And I know there's a lot of ideas that are going to come and I'm going to be like, why didn't I think of that? So for me, I'm just trying to prepare to take advantage of any opportunities that come. You know, I think sometimes there are doors that we don't walk through, that we don't realize we could have walked through in hindsight. So I want to make sure that I don't miss out on any opportunities. So I'm trying to just be in a position to take advantage of everything that comes, or that is even here right now and I don't see.
No, I hear that still. But you kind of touched on a question I'm going to ask you next in terms of, you mentioned furlough and bounce back loan. So obviously you took advantage of some of the government schemes over this period. So what was your experience in terms of other applying for the schemes, or as you said, you mentioned that furlough was a godsend. How was it for you going through those processes of getting those government schemes?
So let's deal with the bounce back. That was very easy. I could have taken the 50 grand, but I'm honest, so I didn't. Shout out to all you people who did. I hope the government don't ask you any questions. That was easy. That was very easy. A bit too easy, if you know, to be fair. But as you guys know, like the process for that, they weren't really checking anything you said. You just needed to have a company. So that was easy. But the best thing I ever did years ago was get an accountant. And so my accountant has handled all the furlough stuff for me. I don't really like numbers. So everything that I don't understand or I don't want to deal with, I just give it to her because I can trust her. So that process for me was probably a lot smoother than it was for other people, because she explains things in a way that I can understand. And if I don't understand, I can call her and she will explain it. So the process of going, you know, getting on furlough was actually my accountant did a great job. And she actually helped me to understand that I was actually eligible for furlough, because there were some things I didn't understand, and she was like, no, you need to do this, and that was it. And she pretty much handled it. I just had to okay her to, you know, do certain things. So yeah, having an accountant for me has been a fundamental key in having a business, because I'm not as, you know, financially literate as you guys. So to have an accountant for me has been an amazing thing, and I've saved a lot of money by having her.
That's good. So like, even
investing in an accountant is good business. You hear that, guys? Greenfield Baby is here to help you. Greenfield. Shameless plug there.
No, that's true. You're another one that's wearing many hats. But in terms of the accountants, so that's a good thing. So even during your peaks and troughs of being independent, you've always kept that accountant, regardless of your financial situations, because the fact that, as you said, you don't kind of trust yourself with numbers, so you rather have someone that knows what they're doing.
And it took some time, because when I first got an accountant, with my first contract, when I went to Razorfish, it was recommended the agency that I got the job through, and these accountants were actually rubbish, and they were actually I think they had me on the wrong tax code or something like that, and they weren't paying me on time, and because they basically, my accountants would kind of well, not they weren't paying me on time, they would tell me how much money I could take and how much I need to leave for taxes, and they would be late with that and all kinds of stuff. And then I met another contractor who says, I've got a good accountant, I've been with her for like 5 years. This is why, guys, you need to speak to someone who has experience of the accountant before you go with them. So when I spoke to this guy and I went with this lady, she immediately saved me like £100 a month based on what she was doing differently to my previous accountant. So yeah, that process of getting an accountant, you need to make sure that you speak to someone who's been with that accountant and knows them. Because for me, I didn't know anything about being a freelancer or starting a limited company. And so I went with some bad accountants, and there's so much people who I speak to who have terrible accountants, like they're losing their money and they could save them a lot more money. So always get a good recommendation for an accountant, I would say.
Cool. No, thanks for that. So, I mean, just to start bringing it to a close, what would you say are your top tips for anybody that wants to embark on a venture in the creative space? Number one, and then number two, what have you got lined up in terms of 2021 apart from going out there and pitching for business? Because I also know that you have started another enterprise called King Dependent
Right.
Consultancy.
So what you want first? Top two tips, did you say?
Top three. Top three.
Get an accountant, a good one. Planning is key, and spend as much time planning as necessary for whatever you're going to do, because a lot of people try to bypass that phase and then go into do the thing. But any project that is poorly planned is going to be hard to run. So don't cut short the planning process, I would say. And I think you have to have a passion for the business you're doing, especially if you're like the main person or the only person, because if you're not motivated to do it, it's just not, I just don't believe it will feel worth your while. And I don't think you can really be successful being dispassionate, especially if you're a business owner and it's literally a small group. If you're in a large group, you can afford to do that, right? Because you've got departments. But when you are every department, you need to be passionate about what you're doing, because who's going to be doing stuff at 5 a.m. unless they really love it? And I've spent to edit that documentary, it took weeks, and I was doing like 5, 6, 7 hour shifts. So you got to have a passion for what you're doing. If not, leave it to someone else. What was the other question?
What have you got planned in the pipeline?
So I've got this kingdependent.com thing. This is a marketplace for Christian business. And that whole concept is about the kingdom of God and keeping money in the kingdom. As you know, a lot of Christian businesses are struggling with lawsuits and legislations with regarding to holding Christian values, and then people trying to shut them down for having Christian values. I don't understand. It's supposed to be a free country. It's supposed to be able to have your religious beliefs and not be penalized for them. So this is a place where Christian businesses can have a shop window. If you don't want to spend your money with non-Christians, which is your right, I think that the Jewish community do that quite well. And I think a lot of Muslims and Asian communities do that quite well. So why can't the Christian community do the same thing? And that concept comes from the Hebrews. And if you look at Hebrew economics in the Old Testament, so it's all about keeping your money in and supporting people who have the same beliefs as you. And that will be launching in January. It will be www.kingdependent.com, and it will just literally be Christian-owned business or services. So you've got that cake maker in your church and they're doing their thing on Instagram, they will be there. You've got that accountant who goes to your church and has like a proper registered business and everything, he will be there too. And so it'll just be a shop window for you to see. So, okay, my money can keep going in a circle. Yeah, so that's that. And 2021, the One Race project, trying to get that into schools or any other educational entities. And the life skills workshop, which we're trying to do with Economic Street. We're trying to get that into, well, we're starting with one school, but I think we're going to pitch now to a few more schools, and we'll probably have to work on where we go with that. But we definitely want to help people, young people, get the life skills they need, because we know that the education system is not giving it to them unless they're going to private school. So yeah, that's 2021. And then whatever, like I said, wherever the money I can get it, whether it be project management, contracts, or maybe more photography or videography work. So holler at me if you're a photographer or videographer. I'm looking for actual people who studied this stuff and professionals. I'm really trying to put down the camera. Because I really want to win some more business in that end now. And I think we've got the portfolio to do it. So yeah, I'm trying to get it where I can get it in 2021. 2021 is going to be my year. I don't care what no one says. If it's I might not be here in 2022. That's all I'm saying. If I don't make it in 2021, I can't guarantee you go see me in 2022. That's all I'm saying.
I love that. I love that. So, I mean, just to finish off, how can people get in touch with you then?
www.archangelcreative.com, info@Archangelcreative. That's it.
Nice.
I ain't getting my phone number. Don't call me.
So we're just going to drop it down in the description then for people. No, but thank you for coming on. It's been very insightful, actually. And just to kind of be able to have a greater window into your journey so far.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So yeah, guys, keep it locked on the Economic Street channel. This is, please subscribe, share, like our content. promote what we're doing, you can find us on all platforms, Economic Street. So from YouTube to Spotify, SoundCloud, and everything else in between, we're there. And yeah, get in touch. Let us know what you think about this content. Get in touch with Michael if you want to pick his brain or you want to work with him. And by all means, just continue to stay plugged. And we will see you in the future with more content coming your way. So until then, take care of yourselves and see you soon.